Hey everybody, welcome to the Videoguys live show. We're going to tell you about new products, promotions, technology in our industry. Today is really a technology show. I am very honored to have on my show Dan Hirshorn, a member of the Broadfield Distributing CPQ crew, or the CP crew, however you want to call it. Very clever. So that's a group headed up by Glenn Seaman. He's been on a lot of our shows before in the past. Basically, I have Dan on to talk about shared storage, something that I think a lot of people kind of know about, they're kind of scared of. It seems kind of scary. It's definitely not for everyone. It's, it is expensive, but storage is super duper important. And we know storage choices people can do. They can do like SSDs. People have racks of attached storage. But we're talking about shared storage where multiple people can get on the same drive, share information, share files. But before we get to storage, Dan, introduce yourself.
Sure. Thanks, Gary. Dan Hirshorn here from the CP crew. Really the technical and engineering side of this business to help all of you watching figure out what workflows you might need. Really, we're here as an extension of the manufacturer partners that we have, and we just want to make sure that you are implementing and integrating working solutions, especially as it comes to your video workflows and the shared storage that it might require.
Now, shared storage is not something you should necessarily be ordering mail order. So you work with our reseller partners across the country, and you're working with us just like you would work with a reseller partner. And what you'll do is you'll talk to the customer about what their needs are. Can we put up that little reseller slide, the dealers? What kind of stuff you need, what you're working with, how many people you have working together, et cetera. And then you guys put together the whole quote, the whole system on what it's going to be, working with a local reseller to make sure they get everything needed. Often these deals are not just the storage. There tends to be a software layer. Maybe there's some SaaS or subscription type things on top of it. Plus there's typically some kind of service installation type. So it's a kind of complicated deal. So you're going to want to work with one of our local resellers, but either way, you're probably going to be working with Dan. So you're welcome to call us and get started with your conversation with Dan, and Dan will find a local reseller to work for you, or, however you want to do it. But what we really wanted to do is let people know that shared storage is a thing. It's a big thing, and everyone knows the greatest big bucket of storage is the cloud in the sky. But right now, all those cloud people have turned into a new thing called AI. And I really think it's time to remember that shared storage doesn't have to be in the cloud. It can be on-premise with remote access or all local access. But let's really dig into this of why storage matters. So Dan, talk about us why storage matters and what is shared storage. I'm going to let you run through both of those, and then we'll pick up the big slide after.
Fantastic. I mean, there's a lot of reasons why video teams working in production, pre or post, or anywhere along that workflow line, any company making media, and I like to say every company is a media company in 2025. Let's face it, we're putting out video, we're making content in all sorts of different verticals. So if you have a team of people that are touching these files and they're rich media files, it really makes a huge difference to consider shared storage as a potential workflow enhancement.
So Dan, if I'm a church that does Sunday services every week and streams them, maybe I don't need shared storage. If I'm a church that streams my footage, puts it out where people can watch the edited shows later, maybe turns the sermons into things we use for adult education and other things, and maybe we do some recordings and some videos to drive our mission or whatever, our fundraising, whatever it is, that's where a house of worship can need some shared storage. Certainly if you're a sports team or you're doing sports, shared storage just means that many people can be working on different things together. But I think I want to go down this list that if we can bring it up full screen for a second, because this I think is really what shared storage is about. It's about collaboration, security, speed, and efficiency. I want you to go down each one, and let's start with collaboration.
Absolutely. I mean, collaboration is the name of the game. The whole idea around shared storage is you're going to have multiple people, whether it be a producer, an editor, a colorist, all of these roles inside of a complex workflow, putting out professional quality video. It's got to be collaborative. These are platforms that help creativity, and collaboration is the name of the game when it comes to creativity and video production.
And then we know one of the big concerns people have about storage in general is security. So a lot of people only want to have their own little drive that they keep in their pockets. They think, I'm the only person who can touch my stuff. But that means when you have to work with someone, you're actually giving them everything. Whereas the beauty of security on shared storage is I can let the other people I work with only have access to what I want them to have access to, even controlling whether they can read and write and copy files. So talk about security, because I think it's one of those things that is so important to people and so easy to overlook, but shared storage comes with a very heavy level of security. All the brands we're going to talk about.
There's a few ways to look at security when it comes to shared storage, and I think you hit on one good one where it's really about making sure that you have the stopgap so that the work never has to stop. We all know that hard drives fail. That's a reality. They stop spinning one day. That's just the nature of the physical disk.
Yep.
So when it comes to the inherent infrastructure of shared storage, that's really built around RAID technology and developing shared storage technology that's come a really long way over the years. So you don't have to worry about one hard drive going down in your array of hard drives, because it will replicate, duplicate, and replace, and all you need to do is put in a fresh hard drive. Features like that really keep a business running, and it really helps businesses keep their ROI, especially when they're in a time crunch, they're streaming, they're live, or they need to deliver now.
So I get the security of that other people can't get to my data, only people I want, but then I get the security of knowing that my data is safe. There's a built-in level of redundancy and
100%.
And fail-safe. The other one is speed, and I think this is important because I think a lot of people think of these things from older days, where to have fast connected storage was, hundreds of thousands of dollars. So that's not true now. You're going to see that most of the products we're going to show you in this show start in the $20,000-ish level for multiple people, but they're as fast as the fastest connected drives, correct?
Absolutely, and you got to keep in mind also with RAID technology and the way you decide to configure a particular array of shared storage, it can be even faster. A lot of times shared storage is built for throughput and speed as well as raw capacity. So these are multiple drives firing off at the same time, talking to each other, and really enhancing your ability to work.
So Dan, talk to me about this, because this is exciting. I just realized I can have an SSD that's super fast, but if I'm connecting it through USB-C, that's basically my bottleneck. If I'm connecting through my network speed is far faster than USB-C. And if I had to, I could even use like 2 network ports and bond them together. So like if you were doing some super heavy animation work that needed super high speed stuff, where you're working with uncompressed high-end files or red files and stuff like that, I can have all the speed. And I guess where efficiency comes in is I get all the 3 top and I don't give anything up, right?
That's right. And really it's obviously you need to think ahead when you're deploying a solution like this. But that being said, once it's in place and once it's fleshed out, the idea is you're not going to have to worry about this at all. It's just going to work. It's going to sit in the background. Your editors will know where to go to get data. They will put it back, take it from, do their changes, make their edits, cut their clips for TikTok and social media, you name it. There's a million directions you can go with this.
Well, that's something you talked about. I want to hit on that a little bit before I get to the different brands, and that is that not only are we working together with our media, but our media is going to so many different places. So you might have someone who's just editing your little TikTok clips from your video or your Instagram files, your social media stuff. Someone else might be doing long format work, and someone else might be doing trailers or highlights or whatever it is. So you think if you're a high school and you're doing athletics, maybe you want to do some promotions on the stars and stuff like that. You also want to drive people to come to the big games. So you got some social media clips and all that stuff. If all that storage lives in the same place, it's more efficient because I don't have 5 copies of the same file everywhere. But even more important, wherever I need to get access to it can. And even if you're going to come in and you're a new kid who's got, a new kid who's in the senior high school, you're a high school senior, you're going to start editing in semester 2, I give you access to all the files. The next semester, I can take it away as easy as I gave it to you, right? So it's really secure.
No, there's great permission set features on our shared storage offerings, and that really allow you to be malleable and giving permissions to the right set of people and taking it away when you need to.
And, not only can we help you find the shared storage solution, but also I want to stress again, we have a network of dealers throughout the country who, when we get together with you, we will send someone in who will call you, talk to you, visit your site, visit your facility, figure out what you need and get you in all the right stuff. And who knows, you may upgrade your editing system. They may put you in a Vizrt TriCaster at the same time, whatever your budget is. But shared storage is one of those things that we're going to try on this show to make it less scary and let people see that if you can get the budget for it, there's really a lot of savings, performance, efficiency, and it's just a way to multiply the effectiveness of your video editing and your content And that's what it's all about. So let's jump in I think we hit on this a little bit, who uses the video on the team. So, we talked about editorial and color grading, finishing and animation and remote teams. But one of the things we didn't talk about, which you brought up in the pre-show we were talking a little bit, was metadata. What exactly is metadata and why is it important in shared storage?
Yeah, it becomes more and more important as the complexity of a given shared storage ecosystem can become. So really the sky is the limit. But metadata is data stored with your rich media files that help you identify what they are, and using file system software layers that sit on top of the shared storage allow you to quickly and easily find and access clips that you're looking for.
So if I was sports, I could label every clip that was a touchdown or was a big long run or a home run or a strikeout. If I was doing the house of worship, maybe I have 3 or 4 different preachers we work with, or we want just the choir shots and stuff like that. If I'm corporate video, maybe everything was from the VP of this guy versus the CEO. The clips can be labeled. You can put locations in. What are some other things if you go into metadata very briefly?
I mean, the sky's the limit there too. Whatever you want, you can make clip markers. You could call out specific numbers or facial recognition features. AI tools are really driving the direction of metadata and how it's captured and collected upon ingest. There's a lot of services out there that can be coupled with your shared storage to make it even more powerful.
So if I was a car company, every time I said Chevy, you could actually have metadata pick it up. And there's even AIs that could look through the audio and find that, which we're not going to get into that now, but the wheels are turning, Dan. The wheels are turning.
A lot of options.
Cool. So this is our shared storage lineup. A lot of people know we've been an Avid NEXIS Pro. We've been selling those for years. So we want to let you know we're going to talk about Avid with the NEXIS line, the full line, Facilis with their hub technology, and then Vizrt SNS is a little complicated because SNS makes something called the EVO, and Vizrt has a version of the EVO that's actually an NDI optimized, tweaked out, native NDI file format. So we get into that a little bit, but let's start with the guys we know and love and we've been doing business with the longest. That's Avid. Oh, I did it again with the NEXIS. So Dan, take it over. What makes the NEXIS? Start with the NEXIS Pro, and then we'll get into the other stuff.
So we're highlighting here on the slide the new NEXIS Pro Plus 80 terabyte, but you don't need to start there. There are sort of smaller options, and really we love Avid. It's an industry standard in Hollywood. It has been for the last 30, 40 years, probably longer. I'm probably shorting that timeline, but it really is just a brand that we trust, especially when it comes to I
apologize. There's something happened with the trigger on this laptop.
No, so I mean, Avid is a name that we trust. A lot of in the industry, Media Composer, Pro Tools users are most comfortable with those workstation type software, and they might not even be aware that Avid has this NEXIS lineup. So it's really been a storage offering from Avid that is purpose built for the proprietary tools that they use in their software, like bin locking and other features like that.
Now, of course, if you're an Avid editor, an Avid house, Pro Tools, NEXIS, it's a no-brainer.
Totally.
But give us a call. We can let you see what the pricing and availability is. But I want to stress that NEXIS works with more than just Avid. So you can have Premiere, Resolve editors in the same group. But really, if you have Avid, even as 25 or 30% of your workflow, it's a little advantage to staying with Avid shared storage. Plus, we love all our storage companies, but there are certain things that Avid does from a collaborative editorial point of view. I'm speaking really on editorial now, that really make it the choice. And that's why you get Avid at all these different levels. And there's so many different Avids to choose from the Pro Plus through the 2s and the 5s. So talk about the lineup a little bit and highlight some of the things. I don't think you have to go over everyone, but show me where they all fit in.
Sure. I think it's worth calling out that you've got a solution, the Pro Plus, for small and medium teams. Here's a great starting point just to kind of sink your teeth in, figure out, okay, I've got 6 editors, I've got a need for 50 plus terabytes of raw storage every quarter. We can work with you. We can discover the rest of that environment. What kind of network infrastructure is built in there? How can we keep it fast and lean and working? And that's really on the small side of the scale. And then when we talk about like editorial, as you started mentioning, that's when we start to creep up into the F2s and the F5s of the world, where really the architecture and the hardware itself is not too different from one another. It really is just stacking power, capacity, and extra throughput on those higher end for the larger teams,
Right.
the
So,
F5s of the world.
so let me simplify. The Pro Plus, you can stack up and scale to get more storage, but it's really limited to how many people and how much you can beat on it. So, if you're going to be a group that's going to grow from 6 to 12 to 18 to 20 people, that maybe isn't it. If you're a small group of 5 or 6 people, or even up to 10, who might need more storage down the future, that's where the Pro Plus scales very well to get into. If you're going to be something where you need shared storage to be across maybe even multiple locations with storage shared together, and storage coming, that's where the bigger stuff comes in. Avid's a little bit tricky as a sale, because what I want to say about that is they have a lot of different ways of buying their big iron, their big storage. So you could buy it as a storage outright. They have SaaS subscription blended models with services and stuff like that. So what that means, and I'm going to explain something now that I don't want to get too far into the weeds on, but in the big enterprise level, there's stuff that's called CapEx and OpEx. CapEx is when you buy a car and you put money down, $20,000, whatever, you buy the car, it's a piece of hardware, maybe you finance it, but it's a loan against an asset. OpEx is like a lease. You just know you're getting that payment per month, and that's what it is. Well, you could buy Nexis based on owning it, or in a sense leasing it, or a combination thereof. And it gets very, very complicated, but that's one of the things that Dan does great, because not only can he review your options with you, but once you've set it up, he can optimize your quote to fit whatever it was you guys decided you were coming up with what they need now, plus future expansion.
Yeah, and I think the subscription model might be scary to some and appealing to others. It really just depends on what your business needs are and what your budget is. And also, as it relates to Avid licensing, those have been pushed to a subscription model anyways. So why not just join the fun, slap your Nexis into a subscription as well, renew it all at once.
Awesome. So switching gears from Avid, let's go to another company who we really love, Facilis. Facilis has their hub starting at 25K as like a base unit that's 96 terabytes, I think, and but they go a whole lot bigger with a whole lot more. But I know why Facilis is better, but I'm throwing you a softball, and talk about some of those things that Facilis does that other people don't do that are really key features, because they're more than just storage. They have a little bit of asset management in it, right?
Yeah, so it's worth calling out the Fast Tracker, which is their database sort of searcher. It's not a full-fledged media asset manager, but it is a tool that you can quickly leverage to sort of organize, find, search, and really have control over your content and your rich media files on the hub. That being said, there's another great feature that people have been loving called Fast Cache from the Facilis team, and that allows you as a remote user to use a local SSD drive to enhance your performance for proxy workflows.
Can we talk about that a little bit? Because I have seen in demonstrations with the Fast Cache on the SSD, it's actually faster than a lot of remote connected. It's like your project's right there, because the proxy files are on the SSD, and then when you get back, everything gets meshed the right way. I think it's like magic secret sauce, but there's a lot of products out there like LucidLink and stuff that are doing these remote workflows in the cloud where someone else owns your content. Fast Cache means I get to own my content on my prem, but through that SSD, people can have a remote experience as if they were there, based on the fact that the cache files are on the SSD. Did I do that justice?
No, I think you summed it up perfectly, and it really is just about maintaining that low to no latency feel, especially when you're editing, you're making quick cuts, you're maybe doing live edits on the fly while you're live streaming during the record. There's a lot of ways you could shop it.
Cool. Now, Facilis has a lot of levels of stuff too, from the Hub 8 up to the Hub 48. A lot of different things in there. Everything scales up. So really with Facilis, it's more about thinking about what's the right size for you, where you think you'll be today and maybe a couple years down the road, as opposed to having to get the smallest thing or the biggest thing. But we have found that for $22,750, it's a great starting point, right? But it's not 100%. The be all end all.
100%. I think Facilis has been a great territory for people who might be entering the shared storage conversation for the first time. They're easy to work with. They have a powerful price point, honestly, very appealing in terms of what our customers like to see and what works and doesn't have them on the support phone calls 24/7 trying to troubleshoot and make it work. It just works. And sort of to your point, There's a lot of flavors here, but I think committing to one doesn't mean you're throwing the next option out the window, right? There's expansion chassis. There are abilities to connect and scale. Really, this company has built this product around scalability. And so while it might start for a small work group, it might end up being a much more complex workflow with twice as many editors 2 years from now.
And Dan, one of the unique things about Facilis is they're a very hands-on type company. So if you call us and you're thinking about a Facilis, not only are we going to call in Dan, we're probably going to call in the guys from Facilis too, who could do remote demonstrations and other things like that to help you, with your sale. And we'll end up at a reseller at some point because, like I said, we have a nationwide coverage of resellers throughout the country who can help you. When we get you this lead, we're going to throw it right to them on who it is. But with Facilis, you're not just going to get the reseller. You're not just going to get Dan, but we'll get you the guys at Facilis to talk to you too. That's even if it's a Hub 8 or how big a system is, because they are really into knowing their customers, learning from their customers, and making sure their customers are in the absolute right thing. So you're going to get not 2, but 3 layers of support to get started, to get in there, and to get going. So I think that's one of the real advantages Facilis has, is that they are like a small company with those very high customer values. Not to put it down any of the other companies we have, but these guys are really hands-on. They're going to roll up their sleeves and help you understand their products and pitch you on why it's the right solution.
Oh, absolutely. The deals I've worked on with Facilis in the past 6 months have been very collaborative, which makes sense for a company like Facilis.
Yep.
And it's really been a breath of fresh air in certain moments where it's easy when you've got the full team working on it to get the end user the best possible solution.
Cool. Let's jump into the Vizrt NRS powered by SNS. Probably the most complicated part of our show because people get a little confused. So once again, I want to stress, SNS makes fantastic shared storage solutions. They're EVO solutions. We'll get to that after this. This is a version that they worked with the folks at Vizrt and NDI to have an NDI optimized native solution. And if you're looking at like sports, it's a killer.
Yep.
If you're looking at things where you're going to have massive data from a lot of cameras that are live, that are going to be edited down, it's phenomenal. When you're doing both streaming, live production, and post, and you're built around a TriCaster, you got to look at the Vizrt NRS, don't you?
Absolutely. And I think for a lot of our audience here who's familiar with the power of NDI, I know we just capped off on NDI November and we're still thinking about it year round. But this is a purpose-built storage array that really is harnessing the extra power of NDI. So if you have existing PTZ NDI cameras in your workflow, this is a great idea. If you're using TriCaster, if you're using 3Play, any of the Vizrt Flowix suites of software, it's really all built to complement that ecosystem and workflow.
So think about live production. You're switching with a TriCaster. You're adding Flowix for graphics. Maybe you're doing a 3Play, which means you could have up to 8 cameras of ISOs, right, that you want to record.
Absolutely.
You're using video in your production. You also are going to get growing files that people could be, basically you could be doing a sports program on your TriCaster, storing the video onto the SNS NRS, the Vizrt NRS, and you could actually have people editing those files while the show is going on. And I'm not saying the only one who does this, but they're the only ones who do it with NDI. And that's what really is a secret sauce. That, we did a whole NDI November. We love this shared storage. I think it's just an incredible thing. And let's just look at the whole family.
Yeah, I mean, pretty straightforward here, from small to very large work group. And then, your choice in terms of your blend of spinning disk and SSD. And really that comes down to what your throughput needs are and what your, how you want to throttle that. But with regards to what you were just saying with the NRS, it's just a platform that works, and it's a great add-on, especially if you're already thinking about TriCaster.
Cool. Now let's go to SNS because we do have available the SNS EVO system. And by the way, reach out if you are a reseller watching this program and you say, I have customers that they can sell this stuff. Call Broadfield Distributing. We're going to call us on the 800 number. We'll put you through to the guys at Broadfield Distributing. They'll get you signed up for what's there. And the reason I'm mentioning this is that, we know SNS has a lot of dealers, but they're always looking to add new dealers. So if you're a dealer watching this show and you want to expand your presence, is a great way to go. What I really like about the SNS stuff is I always felt when it comes to shared workflows with Premiere. They were second to none. And I know they're catching up on Resolve also, aren't they?
Absolutely. I mean, Resolve is the name of the game these days in terms of color, and even some people just using it as their primary. You know, it's not just Avid anymore, so we love something that plays nice with everyone. The SNS EVO it's a great product. I mean, it's essentially the same thing that we were just covering on the NRS side without the NDI feature, so your standalone shared storage. I'll highlight Share Browser again because it's a light media asset management tool that can really get you kick-started in terms of how you're tagging your data, how you're tracking the metadata, etc. But it's a powerful sort of top-down look at what you've got and how you can utilize it.
And as everyone can see, there's a full line of EVOs from, you know, the desktop prodigies up to much bigger units. And once again, they can extend into the cloud as well. You know, a great company, great stuff. We recommend them highly as well. But I think the most important thing that I'm going to recommend to you is if you're looking for shared storage and you don't have a reseller you're working with, give us a call. We'll get you through to the CP crew. And if you do have a reseller you work with, give them a call and they can get access to all this stuff. If they're not set up already and they're watching this show, they can call us. But once again, you get the benefit of having Dan and Glenn and Logan and the whole team. They are available to help you to work with your local integrator, which is what it's really all about. Oh, this is one of these crazy things. So I kind of messed up. So let's say call us to connect with a local integrator. We really want to stress that. We're not trying to sell you a, you know, 200 terabytes of shared storage and telling you that we're going to remotely dial in and get it all set up. No, you want a local guy who's going to talk to your editors, talk to your colorists, find out who needs what, help you set up everyone's permissions, help you set up the workstations correctly, make sure all the networking is right. It's not a plug-and-play solution by any stretch of imagination, but with you making sure they get the right stuff, working with an integrator from the beginning, they're going to have a great experience and they're going to get it on a great deal on a great budget. But there's something I need to talk about because it's real important. Every one of these vendors is running some kind of trade-in, trade-up programs. So if you have a shared storage solution, now is the time to trade up. Now, I want to give a little speech to those of you out there, and that is I want you to all think about something. When the world shut down, we're not going to say why, but when the world shut down and we all had to, you know, stay at home and do remote work and stuff like that, we all remember how long ago that was. It was 5 years ago. So if you've got shared storage that you bought before that happened, it's getting old, buddy. It's probably end of life. You might have limited service for it, which means if things start dying and go bad, you're kind of screwed up if you don't have adequate backups and stuff like that. And more importantly, things have come so far. The performance level of all these products in the last 5 years has just gotten that much better with more features, more performance, more ability to do stuff. So if you've got a shared storage system, be it 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, I'm not saying throw it away, but maybe it's time to trade it in or trade up and get a new system, be your online system. Maybe that becomes your offline or nearline system, so you're not as critical worrying about it. But I think that there's so many of you guys out there, I am sure, who have some level of shared storage, and it can even be from EditShare or anyone else. And these guys will trade it and trade up from each other and against each other. It's a competitive world out there, you know. But I'm just saying that if you've got shared storage, you can trade in or trade up.
And I'll just say, Gary, this is a leap of faith you don't have to take alone. We are here. We can help guide you through what can seem like a daunting conversation, a daunting workflow analysis, but that's some of the stuff we like doing the most. It's fun, it's engaging, it allows us to collaborate with our manufacturer partners and each other and you to figure out what works best. So don't hesitate. Doesn't matter the size of the project, big, small, you don't think it's big enough. Let's talk anyways. Give us a call. We're here to talk.
So I saw you flash it. So even though we went a little long, I'm going to ask the question to Dan and then what about MAM? Now you'll see the slide I brought up, collaboration, security, speed, and efficiency, but there's also a challenge with shared storage, and that is you have so much stuff. Where do you find this? So picture you have a house with one big closet. Hard enough. What if you have stuff in the garage, stuff in the attic, stuff in the kid's bedroom, and then another closet? It gets harder and harder to find stuff, right? So shared storage kind of becomes that analogy. So there comes a time when you need some kind of media asset management. Now, as we talked about, some of these products we talked about have a level of media asset management that's there, but that's, I'm going to say, a basic, good, solid asset management. media asset management is a category in and of itself in our industry, correct? So
Absolutely.
I don't want to try to sell it. I just want to explain to people what it is to kind of get them thinking.
Yeah, and it really goes back to metadata tagging on ingest. It really has driven this technology over the past 5 to 10 years. And I think the need for media asset management has never been higher, especially in broadcast and sports production. There's a lot of data out there that can be captured. So let us help you capture it. We want those conversations where maybe you're not sure if you need media asset management. Bring those conversations to us. We can help you flesh that out and maybe help you make the right decision on one.
Yeah. Now, media asset management is one of the funniest things in our industry. I mean, it's funny because it really is a bear to get set up to be, I'm saying it's not, if you want media asset management, bring that up from the beginning of the conversation so you get the right level of whatever you go. But if you do get it set up right, it becomes so easy to do. You can have a kid on an iPad labeling touchdown. You can get pull down screens, touchdown, 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 field goal, field goal, field goal, whatever you want to do. So, sorry. It's one of those things that is a add-on and an enhancement to your shared storage, but it's also something that, when a multiple people working on something can take a lot of what I'll call kind of that drudge work, where you don't need to be paying someone, $70 or $100 an hour to be logging footage. AIs can do it, and so can metadata now. And so can just someone, the way these MAMs work, you can really, I'm really serious. You can have someone watching on the iPad.
Yeah, I mean,
through pull downs and buttons labeling stuff.
100%. Media manager is a real position. We hire them all the time, and they're extremely important, but there are some tools that help you automate that process, and media asset management will help.
Awesome. Dan, it was great having you on the show. I want to remind everyone that you are one of 3. It's a whole team that we have available, and so does every reseller in the country who wants to work with Broadfield Distributing, as we do on this channel, and they came in and did this show with us, and we're really hopeful that maybe we get some great leads to send some of those dealers across the country from watching the show today. But Dan, whenever I have a guest on the show, I always like to give the guest the last word. You could talk about the shirt I'm wearing, my favorite football team, about MAM, about what your team does, about the CPQ cream, about what your favorite flavor of ice cream is, or what storage is why you like it. So, Dan, the floor is yours.
Oh, that's fun, Gary. I appreciate that. It's been fun to talk about MAM and shared storage in a high-level overview. I'll just reiterate real quick that, my existence here is to help you guys. So really, just give us a call, even if you're not sure that it's the right idea. Maybe we can help you figure out if that's the case. We're happy to talk through some of this stuff. Really get a lot of joy out of figuring out solutions that save people money, time, and efficiency.
Awesome. Thank you for being on the show, my man. I think you did a great job. Give us a little hug there. Great job by our team and all that. And once again, if you're looking for shared storage, give us a call. We might not sell it to you directly, but we know the right guys to put you in touch with, and we got the right guys who we can help you start scoping out the level of whatever your quote is, whatever you need to do. So I'm Gary from Videoguys, Dan from the Broadfield Distributing CPQ crew. Thank you so much for having everyone on. It's a great show, and look for some great year-end holiday deals and stuff like that coming up in our future shows. So, Guy, once again, thank you very much. Everyone, remember, I haven't said in a long time, like us on the different stuff, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, we're everywhere. Please like us, join us, subscribe to our email list, follow our website, follow our blog, and check out our website on your phone. It's working a whole lot better thanks to the marketing team's work on that. So this is Gary from Videoguys. Peace.
Videoguys is available Monday through Friday. Give us a call at 1-800-323-2325. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter and Instagram to stay connected with all of our updates. And you can like us on Facebook. Keep an eye out for our live videos, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thanks for watching.